Breaking news! Millennials are leaving religion at historic rates. And I'm happy to announce that that does include Black millennials. Black Christians are noticing that more and more of their congregation is opting for non-belief, or at the bare minimum, disassociating from Christianity. And they have to address the elephant in the room, that is atheism. I saw 3 videos on YouTube recently where Black people tried to talk to and about Black atheists, and all 3 videos irritated me. Let's talk about it. Hello and welcome to my channel. If you would like to check out future videos, make sure to subscribe before you head out. Don't forget to like this video, and in the comments below, let me know what you think about the 3 videos that we're about to talk about. The first video is titled Family or Fiance Season 1 IMANI and COLBY Review. So Oprah has this show on OWN, her network, called Family or Fiance. On the show, newly engaged couples spend a few days in the same house with both of their disapproving families. It's a reality show, and at the end of the few days together, the families must get together and decide whether or not they will give their blessing for the marriage or not. I had never heard of this show before, but I saw it as I was scrolling through YouTube, as I often do. It was the title that caught my attention. Brace yourself for atheists, family or fiance. I was like, oh shit, Oprah's talking about atheism. I gotta see how they play this. But there was actually nothing that surprising about the episode. As expected, both sides of the family were upset that the couple was atheist and couldn't figure out what Jesus had done to them to make them hate him. The part that I was upset about was what a woman had said in her review of the show. The reviewer is a Black woman, and she does reviews on a bunch of shows on OWN, I guess, but she said this about the episode.
Now let me tell y'all, I personally feel like, people who are atheists have a lack of connection to emotions, a lack of connect to spirit. And I feel like, that does you a disservice. And as a Black person, like his cousin and other people were saying, he needs to continue to research. Maybe it isn't Christianity, but it shouldn't be nothing. Like nobody should, believe in nothing. I just feel like, it just says a lot about a person when they feel like they're the only person in control of their destiny. That is not true.
I don't even know where to begin with her. First, she said she personally feels that people who are atheists lack a connection to emotion and lack a connection to spirit. What? Who? Where? How? Where did that assumption come from? I wonder how many atheists this woman is in real, genuine relationship with. And would she say that kind of thing to their faces? And maybe it's just me, but I feel like that's an incredibly unkind thing to say about an entire group of people. And hearing her say that actually made me feel really sad, because that is one of the biggest fears that I have being a Black non-believer. I fear that people like her will make judgments like that against me. Accuse me of being devoid of feeling, devoid of connection, and devoid of the core things that make us human, when nothing could be further from the truth. I made a video a while back about secular spirituality and what it means to me, so check it out if you're interested. Once you start saying things like these people don't feel, that's a slippery slope. The next step is that it then becomes okay to treat them a certain way because there's this assumption that they're not as human as you. I don't know, I think maybe the reason she said it is because the atheist Black man in the show was a bit of a weirdo, but it also felt like she had those thoughts before. And yeah, the guy was a little bit weird, but okay, he doesn't represent all atheists. And she should know better and do better with her large platform. For some reason, it feels like people just don't have a problem with taking shots at atheists. Like we're not really out here amongst them. She also talked about how people can't just believe in nothing. Why? Because you can't? And I'm not even 100% sure if she herself is a Christian, or she was, or she's Christian light, or she doesn't believe in the whole religion part of it, but she still believes in God, one of those. And the same breath in which she says she cannot dictate what a person's beliefs are, as long as they believe in something.
Because I feel like nobody should be dictating to anybody what their religious belief should be. Maybe it isn't Christianity, but it shouldn't be nothing. Like nobody should, believe in nothing.
Get out of here. She said it says a lot about a person when they think they're the only ones in control of their destiny. Like, why is that an insult? I don't understand why that would be a negative characteristic about somebody. I have control over my destiny. Shame on you. Why is that concept so mind-blowing to believers? The idea that your life is not ordered or pre-planned, that you don't have a destiny preordained by God. What would that change for your here and now if it turns out that you don't have a destiny? Nothing. I think it says much more about believers than it does about atheists. Those believers who have a hard time taking responsibility for the direction of their lives, and those who are only good because God told them so. So if there's no God figure holding you back, you're really worried about what you would do, not what I would do. I know how projection works. Don't put your sick thoughts on me. If you need a God to tell you how to treat people, then fine. But don't sit here and act like atheists are terrible people because we can make our own moral decisions and you, for whatever reason, choose not to or are unable to. Which brings me to video number 2, The Problem with Black Atheism by What Do You Mean? I've seen this guy's videos floating around YouTube for a while. He's a Christian apologetic who defends Christianity from all the people. And it seems like he makes quite a lot of content addressing atheism or responding to atheists on YouTube. I'll say that I'm not really the person who's gonna make response videos getting into the weeds of the philosophy of Christianity versus atheism. It's not really my thing. What drew me into his video was a title, The Problem with Black Atheism. Do tell. My initial reaction was, why is black atheism different from white atheism or any other type of other race atheism? I mean, obviously that people are different and they probably have different cultural traits in general, but it's not like atheism is a religion that we'd really be parsing out different types of doctrine. We all just don't believe in a God, black or white, or whatever. I was curious about what he had to say about black atheists specifically and why that was a problem. Okay, so there are 2 main issues that I had with how they portrayed black atheists. The first is only a minor issue. They talk about how the black atheists that they know have a major concern with how historically the Bible and Christianity have been used to do some really fucked up shit to black people, including, but definitely not limited to, slavery.
What's just kind of like one kind of thing that you would say, kind of responses kind of catered towards specifically the atheism in the black culture, or an atheist in the black culture?
Sure. Well, one of the main concerns is generally going to have to do with oppression, that African Americans have experienced in the past or even in the present and so forth. And they're going to look to things like the participation of professing Christians in the transatlantic slave trade, antebellum South, and so forth.
I 100% understand how that whole slavery Christianity paradox could be a gateway to atheism for many black people. But I highly doubt that that would be the main reason a black person holds on to their atheism. Because an atheist not only doesn't believe in the Christian God, they don't believe in the Hindu gods, they don't believe in the Native American gods, they don't believe in the hundreds of folk gods out there either. So their soft characterization of black atheists as leaving Christianity because essentially their feelings were hurt, I think is an easy way to dismiss atheism. Like, they definitely have other reasons, and I don't even think slavery is the biggest one. It might have been the first, but definitely not the biggest. The second issue was about how they basically said that atheists aren't allowed to say what is right or wrong because they don't believe in a God who sets objective morality for us. Now, this is the part where I put in a disclaimer saying that I am not a philosopher, I just play one on YouTube. But here we go.
Now I would argue that both morality and human value can't be robustly accounted for on an atheistic paradigm. And so I think that that's a great way to approach the black atheist and say, hey, look, I agree with you that slavery was messed up. I agree with you that, it's oppression of any people, is wrong. However, I'm saying that theism gives me a better account as to why that is the case as opposed to atheism.
So what he's saying is that if I, as an atheist, say that, it's wrong to kidnap people, to enslave 12 million people, 1.5 million people died on those slave ships, and they just threw them in the water like nothing, raping people like it's a sport, brutally murdering them, ripping a newborn from its mother and selling him or her, selling their own biracial children into slavery, systematically wiping away the identities of countless African peoples here in America, and in general committing a never-ending list of atrocities against them for what, 200, 300 years? We're talking about generations after generations of people culturally and economically handing the keys of this system down to their own families to inherit. Just business as usual. So if I don't believe in a God, then I cannot say any of that was wrong. He even said that I agree that slavery was wrong, but can you tell me why? What they're getting at is that if it's not objectively wrong, meaning that God said it's wrong, then how can atheists explain when things are wrong? As an agnostic atheist, yes, I do believe that morality is subjective. However, I can still decide what things I want and do not want for the community in which I live based on, drumroll please, my own sense of morality. And again, I don't know why this is such a hard concept for believers to grasp. And even if their argument is simply atheism cannot provide some kind of moral compass, and so what? What good has the moral compass done for Christianity? They were also saying something about how we as humans have a sense of what is right or wrong. That is further proof that God exists. Like, it's further proof that we were made in God's image because in the Bible, God said that he cares about morality and we care about morality, so therefore God exists. And someone please tell me if I'm reading his example the wrong way. They're saying that because atheism as a paradigm, and I think calling it a paradigm is a bit of a stretch, because atheism doesn't set guidelines about what is right and wrong, its followers don't have the right to speak out about things that they don't think is right. Stop it. I know that I wouldn't want to be a slave, and I wouldn't want anyone that I love to be treated that way. So I know it's probably not a great thing, because I told me so. And lastly, video number 3, Navigating Atheism While Black on the 7 with Dr. Sean on the Fox Soul channel. This Dr. Sean got on my nerves. He starts by asking his 2 guests, Siobhan Taylor and Sakivu Hutchinson, to define atheism, agnosticism, and skepticism. By the way, yay for Black women atheists. You can tell by the way that he was phrasing his questions that he was trying to just make way for him to get to his main point, which is that he doesn't like how sure atheists are that there is no God. Ms. Hutchinson then clarified and said that atheism is just a lack of belief in a God because of the lack of evidence in a God. She explained that it's more of an umbrella term, and people underneath that umbrella can have much more nuanced definitions of their beliefs. She talked about how it's hard to, prove a negative and that sort of thing. I don't know how else these women could have spelled it out for this man. I highly encourage you to go watch the first 7 or 8 minutes of that video, because I can't play it all here, but you really understand what I'm saying when you watch it. That man was not trying to hear their explanation.
Than to be a strict atheist, because to be a strict atheist, to me anyway, is, as some might say, as nonsensical as being a Christian.
No,
let's clarify.
You're saying belief.
So let's clarify. So an atheist just lacks the belief.
Right.
That's it. When you try to subscribe and attach other, ideologies to it, then you're taking it away from what it actually is, atheist, a lack of belief without
But the
the
atheist
belief
lacks
of
the belief
God.
for a reason, though, right? Because they don't.
There's no evidence. I don't see evidence. When I see evidence, then I might change that belief. But until that evidence presents itself in a way that
Is that atheism?
Yeah.
Yes, why don't you actually listen to an atheist? I think people who are non-believers have a much greater capacity to understand the nuance that lies within non-belief. But he wanted to define atheist as only a person who says that there is no God. Basically hard atheists. Do those atheists exist? I mean, the ones that say that there is no God? Yes, of course. I think that's what people generally think of when they think of atheists. Someone that is telling you that there is no God, as opposed to saying that I don't believe there's a God. And the literal definition of atheist, or the dictionary definition, is a lack of belief in a God. And they invited them to be on the show to talk about their experience with atheism, I'm assuming to maybe humanize it a little bit more, because like I said, it's growing more and more in Black communities, but he wasn't even trying to understand it. So I guess he was frustrated when they wouldn't say that there is no God, but rather, we don't believe there's a God. The part that really bothered me was how he treated the younger woman, Siobhan.
In a way that
Is that atheism?
Yeah, where's the evidence? I don't have the belief. And so if I told you there's a purple unicorn living in your heart right now, you'd say, well, where's the evidence? You wouldn't just take for just the fact that I said it, that it's there. So you just don't believe that it's there. Period.
Well, I think your definition of atheism is quite broad.
Or maybe yours is narrow.
No, I mean that's.
So theism, okay.
Let me finish.
Expound.
That was unkind, but that's okay.
Well, I apologize.
No, it's fine. It's fine, because I'm trying to have a civil conversation, but we cannot have one. But let's keep it civil.
He wanted to stick to his one narrow definition because that is what he already believed, and that's how he wanted to view atheists. He made it seem as if she was the one trying to start a fight, when in reality, he was just struggling to come up with a response to good, sound logic. I could see how she just shut down after he made that comment. Now this guy, who's like, I guess the host of the show, is making jabs at her. There are whispers of colorism here. My spidey senses were tingling. I mean, nothing about what she said in that interview led me to believe that she was unkind, aggressive, or hostile, but he pulled the same crap that many people do and attached those characteristics to her. This dude also, unbeknownst to him, made the case for why everyone should be an agnostic, really.
My point is, I think that belief system is fine, but it has a certain certainty to it that I think doesn't make sense.
But so I guess we're at loggerheads because we're pushing back against the presumed certainty of believers. So,
which may not also make sense. That's my point.
right.
That's my point.
Like, dude, get your life together. He said it doesn't make sense that people would lack a belief in God because they don't have any more information about the nature of the universe than believers do. So then how can you be a believer then? Do you have any special information that we're not aware of? Wouldn't it make more sense to be agnostic then? He eventually let it go because they were talking in circles, and I suppose he would rather move on to the next topic instead of accept that his position on something might have to change. Especially because it was women trying to correct him. Probably. I was mainly bothered that A, he tried to make that young woman seem like a bully when he was a real bully, and B, he's over here trying to Christian-splain atheist beliefs to them. If you are a believer out there, specifically the Christians, try to actually listen to what the non-believer is telling you about how they experience their beliefs instead of trying to cram them into a box that your pastor made for you. Anyways, I will put the links to all 3 videos below, and I'm really curious to hear your take on how these believers handle the portrayals of Black atheists. And I am very glad that more Black people are talking about it openly. And I do think it's important to not let believers say all kinds of crazy things about non-believers and just get away with it. Positive representation matters. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Share this video with a Black atheist or a Black Christian or anybody. As usual, people, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you get an alert when I post my next video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.